Hi, I'm Melanie. I'm the director of Bird's Eye View. Bird's Eye View brings a wider perspective of the world by championing cinema by women and non-binary filmmakers. Our mission is to advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion in film by fostering a community for those who make, show, release, and watch them. I'm really pleased to be joined by Berta Basholli, the writer, director of HIVE. Berta, thank you so much for joining us, for having this conversation and digging into some of the topics around the film. And I first just want to really congratulate you. HIVE has made history already. You scooped all three main awards at Sundance last year. It's also the first Kosovan film to be shortlisted for the Oscars. So congratulations.
Hi, and yes, thank you for all the nice words, and really thank you for having me.
Perhaps if you could just start by telling us where you came across the story and what was it in particular that compelled you to want to tell it?
Well, I don't watch a lot of TV, but interestingly enough, my husband does. And he called me and said, there's a really interesting story about a woman who, having lost her husband during the war, needed to get a driving license to start a work to provide for her kids. And she was prejudiced for that. So I really wanted to further explore this story, and I wanted to meet Fahriye immediately. At the beginning, it was a story, and it is a really interesting story. But when I met her in person, the more compelling part was her, actually, like her character, her attitude, the way she was even just talking about things. I was like really impressed about how stoic and strong she was, even in the first meeting, talking to us. I really was really amazed by everything. And then how she just dealt with everything, how she spoke to the other women, how she convinced them to join her, although they resisted at the beginning, how she overcame every obstacle. For me, was really impressive because she didn't even have a chance to go to university. So she's not even educated for doing business or anything. And she just really found a way to do something, or at least to like use something that they all knew how to do it, to turn it into a business and actually make everybody be able to work and provide for the kids. Because these women would take, let's say, right after the war, there were a lot of assistances coming from different countries, like probably a lot from UK as well. But then as the years would go by, these assistances started to become less and less, and these people really couldn't always rely on somebody helping them. And for me, it was really amazing how she, beside the whole pain, besides having to raise two small kids and having to build a house because they didn't even have a house when they came back from war, she just found the strength to put everything together and sort of be able to move on.
You'd worked with Ulka Goshi, the actor, previously, and I know that she's also, besides being an actor, she's also a human rights activist. She's a UNICEF ambassador. She's the face of Save the Children in Kosovo. And you talk about Fahriye as stoic. That's the word you use, which is exactly how I would describe Ulka's performance. It's like this incredible stoic defiance and independence. And I wonder, just tell us a bit more about why it was that you knew that Ulka Goshi was best to play Fahriye.
I've known Ulka Goshi for a very long time because she was on a very popular TV show here. But I didn't know her personally until we worked together. But when I worked with her on a short film, although it was completely like, that film was a really a satirical comedy about an arranged marriage in New York with Albanians. So it was completely different topic, different style of shooting and acting and everything. But when I worked with her, I really could see how can we work together, because we really worked well together. But also I really thought that her attitude and everything will add up to Fahriye's character. I casted her before even starting to write the script. We lived with this story for like a very long time until we came to the moment to for me to start writing and shooting it. So she lived character kind of, as she says, she like dreamed about it, because it was so important for her to play. And you can feel it because she was very dedicated for this role. She was really, really putting everything into it. So for me, it was really easy to work with her, to be honest, because when the actors love their job and when they love the role, then all you have to do is just do your job and make that role the best way, direct that role the best way you can, because they're gonna make it.
I'd love to talk about the role that friendship, solidarity, community, collective working kind of plays.
She had to become this and take things under her. We call it here to take things in our hands.
Yeah.
And as she says, I had to be the mother and the father to my children. So I had no time or no choice. And as she said, had I listened to people, I wouldn't have made what I made today. And today she has a factory that she opened on March 8th, 2021. And she's employing even more women. And now she's also employing women who have husbands but need to work. So in that sense, she also really made a great impact on the community, that the women are not just working because they don't have husbands and now they have to work, but also other women who in these kind of areas, they are expected to be housewives and they're working as well. Fahriye, she was like, nothing wrong with being a housewife if you choose to, but for the women of the villages is usually expected, and maybe not so much today, but back then it was more expected that they are going to stay at home and raise the kids and do all the housework. And she was like, no, I never imagined myself. Maybe even if my husband would have been alive, maybe we would have opened business together. That's why she could do it all, I think. That's why, because she had this kind of mindset in her head. And she was like, I really never thought that I'm gonna just stay at home. I always wanted to do something. And when you develop a character, we usually want the character to be weaker at the beginning, and so she becomes stronger toward the end. And a lot of people were saying like, if she climbs that truck at the beginning, she looks very strong. Like she looks too strong from the beginning. And there were moments when I tried maybe not to put that scene in the beginning of the film. But then I was like, no, this scene was always in the beginning of the film. And I think it's important because she was that strong person. She was that particular character that could do it all. And it has to be like that in the film, although she becomes more empowered anyhow. But I think she was really special from the very beginning, and that's why she really could deal with everything. And then the women would after they came back from war, the women would gather together to talk to each other. And a lot of times they would cry a lot because a lot of them witnessed terrible things during the war. And then they would talk about how some of them witnessed their children being murdered, their husband being murdered. And it was really difficult. She was like, it was difficult to keep hearing these stories. So she was like, I would just play music and make them dance, because then she was like, we were going crazy. And then when she got this idea that about this guy who wanted to offer them to sell IVAR from the company, and then they didn't take it, and she wanted to take it, the women really resisted, because she was like, people are going to gossip about us. And how she convinced them really slowly, and how until today they are still together, it's really impressive for me, because it gives you that sense of community and solidarity that you mentioned, that they are still together. It was hard at the beginning, and being in a very traumatic society, how Kosovo was after the war, you can also understand it, plus the traditions, the culture and everything, and the prejudices towards women. So you kind of really understand why they resisted. But I think Fahriye was really, she was really patient to like convince them step by step. At the beginning, they would work from their homes, and they slowly would come to her home, and then she slowly built a small working place, and then they would work there. So bit by bit, they started to join, but she did have the support of a few of the women from the very beginning, and still with her, and they are still together, and she makes decisions together with them. But also just to go, even today, to just go and meet these women, it's such a pleasure to see how they work together, and how each of them are very thankful to have this job, which is for them something to provide for the family, but it was also something to keep them sane, because Faria was saying we needed to stay sane for our children, because otherwise we would have lost our children, and then it would have been too late if we just stay and cry and go crazy, always remembering the bad things.
This story of, the kind of challenge of those left behind, the burden of responsibility on the women to rebuild. It's also something that often leads to a kind of relative kind of emancipation.
Yes.
It's incredible that these women are, still together running this business. It's amazing that you say Faria opened her factory, say on the 8th of March, 2021. So that's a lot of people will be watching this on 8th March 2022 for International Women's Day. So it's incredible to think that that's happened just a year ago. I just wonder if you could tell us, between the kind of the scene that the film it tells of like 10 or so years ago, how much things have changed and what kind of an impact women like Faria have had on women of Kosovo today.
I think they had a great impact because, they had a great impact on me. When I went to meet her the first time, I was like, if she doesn't want me to make a film about her, because I didn't know how bitter she will be, or maybe she's just tired from people approaching to her, because a lot of she was quite present on media. She did documentaries. So I was like, maybe she's going to be tired from it all, so she's not going to want to. So I was like, I'm just maybe gonna encourage her to continue doing that, and I just tell her how proud and happy I am that she did it. She didn't need the encouragement, my encouragement actually, because I ended up being the encouraged one and inspired one from her, because she does give you that energy that you have to continue no matter what. And for me, even while I was making HIVE and while I was writing, I had 2 kids, and I was like, of course, sometimes complaining, and I was like, I shouldn't complain. Like Fahriye had 2 kids, and when she came back from the war, she had a baby and a 3-year-old, and she didn't have a house, and she didn't have a job, and she had plus the pain of losing her husband and everything. So I was like, if she could find the strength to stand up and move on, we all should find a way. And it's hard sometimes for all of us, but I think she really gave me that impression that really you have to put yourself together. Sometimes we don't feel good, sometimes we cannot stand up, but if people like her could do it, we should all find a way and help ourselves and help others to be able to continue. And in that sense, I think she affected me, let alone how much she affected, for example, her daughter. She's working with her at the factory. Her husband is working at her daughter's husband is working at Faria's factory. Her son is working. They both are going to inherit her piece of the factory. And a lot of other girls and women are working. And we always try to make films and do awareness campaigns so that we kind of change the mindset of a country or a part of a country. But I think examples like Fahriye did much more than any of us can do it, because she started to work. People prejudiced her, talked to her, said all the wrong. Somebody broke the jars for her jars because they were so angry at them working. And she continued. She found a way to rebuild it, to rebuy those things and make up for the expenses and still continue. And in that sense, I think she really changed the mindset, especially for the village where she lives. Now a lot of businesses are opened, similar businesses to Fahriye, and she doesn't even mind that. she even jokes about it. She's like, oh, man who produced us, now they're copying us and they're making HIVE as well. And there's also other women who wanted to open their own business. They were working with Faria, but then they wanted to open it. So in that sense, I think she really created a different mindset. And she's been quite, another smart thing that I think she did was that she was quite present in media. So she would give interviews, which helped her for the business, but I think also helped a lot as an example, because a lot of other women did the same from other villages, let's say with dairy products or maybe some of them with honey. She tried with honey, but it didn't work. But there's another woman who's really in good business with honey, and she's also from the village, and she's also started it only after the war. So I think her example, but many other women's example as well, really helped the women from rural areas to take this example and start working. And some of them just started working with their own family, but at least they did something. I think she really left a legacy for many of us, but especially for that area, because it just simply, it's not unusual anymore to work for a woman or man or anybody, and especially in Krusha Mother, where she's from.
Well, I was looking at definitions of hive. My favorite was it being used as a verb that means to move together as one, like a swarm of bees. How did you arrive at the title?
It was the beehive and the queen and how they work together, and the women. Because as I said, I was really impressed by this community and how they managed to like help each other. For me, it was really important that the name really represents what these women did together and how they kept each other's sanity and were able to move on like one.
Well, that feeling of community and solidarity among the women absolutely comes through. It's one of the incredible things about this film and Faria's story. So thank you so much. Thank you for sharing the film with us. Thank you for talking to us about it. It's been brilliant to hear from you, Berta. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're really excited that our film is opening in UK. So yeah, it's amazing. Thank you for having me.